Never content to stand still and rest on his laurels, Usher introduces hip-hop and R&B to 80s rock guitar, recalls the 90s on U-Turn with its refrain of "I had a hot flat top, the sound was Bobby Brown," and seals his wish to be seen as a song and dance man with a track about his own dance. Versatility is the key here. Staccato beats with mellifluous melody, rich slow jams and edgy harmonies. This is the noise of a man at the top of his game, lording it over his lesser contemporaries and exuding a swaggering self-confidence. Vision, accessibility and a poetic sense of drama permeate all these grooves. Usher is irresistible, wielding power, grace, self-knowledge and self-affirmation in the face of everything that life throws at him. He is simultaneously thrilled and sickened by love and lust, wriggling out of tempestuous situations and then immersing himself in them again. Reviewers united to praise the 8701 album, proclaiming it to be another new landmark in modern soul music. Usher consolidated his position as the prime purveyor of chart-conquering adult crossover urban pop. A staggering 3 million copies sold confirmed his status as one of the leading lights of the new sound. In August 2001, Usher marked the release of 8701 with a special signing session at Virgin Megastore in London. Fans were presented with a large, double-sided poster of their hero, along with a smaller poster emblazoned with the album title. Some 320 fans waited for their idol to arrive half an hour late, as the professional security guards had to deal with the over-enthusiastic overtures of screaming teenage girls. Now was the time to retreat to the studio and begin work on the next record. But in the meantime, he found time and energy to perform at a special charity concert for AIDS and HIV sufferers in South Africa. The MTV Staying Alive event was held at Greenpoint Stadium in Cape Town on November the 23rd, 2002, and assembled a stellar cast of musicians, including Alicia Keys, P. Diddy, Danny Kaye, Reddy and D, Mendoza and Bianca LaGrange. It was aired on MTV on World AIDS Day on December the 1st, 2002. His Evolution Tour of 2002 was considered a massive success and helped spread the Usher gospel to an even wider audience. Assisted by 6 dancers and backed by a full band, he revelled in the live environment, coming of age as a live performer. He even employed a special Evolution tribute section in the show to hail his influences from the early 70s to the new century.
Yeah, man, I must confess, there's been many duos, there's been many collaborations of soul, there's been many collaborations of rock and roll, there's been many collaborations of hip-hop, but none beats the collaboration of the Fugees. If I could ever bring them back together, I would do it.
The world waited with eager anticipation for the new Usher release. In early 2004, he returned to the fray with the brilliant single Yeah, produced by Lil Jon and featuring the inspired rap assault of Ludacris. This addictive chunk of R&B pop instantly became a club and radio favourite and topped the pop charts. It creates sensual panic by combining Usher's jumpy attacks with Jon's sublime, frayed beats and Ludacris's razor-sharp wordplay. With booty bass and an irresistible acid-hued hook, it's unassailable and compelling. This single put him back at the top of the tree and at the forefront of gossip pages as well as the music press. He dislodged DJ Casper's Cha-Cha Slide from the top of the British music charts. By the time the aptly titled Confessions album was delivered in March 2004, Yeah had become a massive worldwide hit and had made the top of the Billboard chart. On its release, critical superlatives were exhausted by the press. Even jaded hacks conceded its brilliance. Produced by Lil Jon, Andre Harris, Jermaine Dupri and Vidal Davis, it shifted an incredible 10 million in the US alone. On Confessions, Usher delves into lust, temptation and the dirt people do that causes love to turn sour. If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all, he croons on the title track, a mournful piece of work in which he admits to getting his mistress pregnant. Raw, dazzling, and loaded with emotion and insight, he sings the guilt-ridden lyrics so convincingly and with such passion that it almost seems easy to forgive him for his transgressions. Usher admits, "The girl I've been creeping with says she's 3 months pregnant and she's keeping it." Musically, it bears a resemblance to R. Kelly's Ignition single of 2003. On the jaunty Truth Hurts, though, he finds himself on the other side of the equation, anxiously questioning whether his lover has been fooling around with someone else. Wicked for sure, but wickedly entertaining. It is a testament to his genius that such a deceptively upbeat track accommodates some of his most vulnerable lyrics. Seasoned bling-bling merchants might question his allegiance to Oprah if it results in soul-shredding stuff like this. His sweet falsetto on the weepy breakup song Burn convincingly marries resolve and regret. He reluctantly yet firmly bids goodbye to a lover who just wants to hang on. Given all the drama surrounding his breakup with TLC's Chilli, she very publicly accused him of cheating on her, it almost seems as if you're listening to a juicy oral version of the National Enquirer. When it comes to the rough stuff, there's still no U in PIMP. On clap-funk tracks such as the Jam and Lewis produced Bad Girl and the Prince-infected Do It To Me, Usher doesn't do any more than competently ride the beats, but his sheer presence bludgeons the listener into submission. He seems at home and in his element on the sex education homework exploration that is That's What It's Made For, where frisky flutes give their blessing to his enthusiastic mid-size pimping. Maybe coming of age can wait after all. The staggering Bad Girl is the sort of cut destined for stereos at summer barbecues and block parties. Come summer, when the clothes start coming off, boys everywhere will be seeking out their own bad girl. This is a complete record from beginning to end, with complex emotions and sophisticated clipped production that draws attention to Usher's finest asset, his lithe vocals. It is an exhausting, frantic journey through the love, the flirting, the hurt and the errors we all make in relationships. Simple Things is extraordinary, while Take Your Hand oozes sensuality, sex and existential crisis. Usher even sounds like he's yodeling on Can You Handle It? There are plenty of male R&B singers who warble on and on about lust, love, passion and infidelity, but there are just a select few who do it with intelligence and sensitivity. This album confirms that Usher belongs among the upper echelons, the elite. He's clearly been working on an image overhaul, ditching the earlier poppier style for deeper slowies about relationships and desire. It is certainly groundbreaking in one sense. R&B singers rarely open up about their insecurities in such a forthright manner. Usher celebrated the album's release with a live exclusive gig for AOL for broadband at the New York's Webster Hall on Tuesday, March the 23rd. Confessions scored the best opening sales week ever for a male R&B artist and the best debut week of 2004. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with massive sales in the US, giving the singer his first chart-topping album. To set the 2004 sales record, Confessions topped the 1.2 million copies sold by Norah Jones upon its entry in February 2004. Its strong showing was a clear sign that the record industry, which had been in the midst of a long slump because of piracy, the illegal internet downloading of music and other factors, was back on the upswing. Although it contains several songs about painful breakup and infidelity, Usher swears that it's not a reflection on his split with TLC's Chilli Thomas. In a bitter radio interview, however, Chilli accused him of being unfaithful, and so the seemingly personal tone of Usher's disc set tongues wagging immediately. As for Usher's take on the subject, he remained much more reticent about the allegations of fathering a child with another woman. At the Soul Train Music Awards, he became involved in a hostile war of words with radio presenter Wendy Williams when questioned about the child. Williams shouted out to Usher, "Let's talk about this alleged child," as they passed each other on the red carpet. She had always believed that the story was faked by his record company in order to beef up his image as a ladies' man. Usher was escorted past Williams but later returned to shout, "How dare you? You know I don't have a kid." At this point he was hustled back inside, as Williams responded with, "I knew it was all a stunt. I knew you were a fake." An Usher spokesperson later explained that the singer wasn't avoiding the question but was running late for the show. Meanwhile, the second single to be lifted from the Confessions album, Burn, was another surefire smash hit and built further momentum for the record's continued success. It was now glaringly obvious that Usher was a worldwide star, a celebrity in his own right, as well as a visionary musician and groundbreaking creative artist. His crossover from those days of baby-faced wonder and naivety to fully fledged maestro was complete. He was the man of the moment.
Sex, drugs, or hip-hop? I have to give it to sex. Man, I mean, everybody can do it. Everybody can't freestyle. Everybody can't, battle. Everybody can't make millions of dollars in bling bling, but everybody can have sex.
There was now no stopping Usher, as his celebrity had reached a new peak. Tabloids and celebrity gossip rags all wanted a piece of him, his talent, and his personal life. Taking to the celebrity game like a duck to water, Usher set about dismissing his contemporaries, famously lambasting Justin Timberlake for supposedly nicking all his best moves and ripping him off. He set up the kind of time-honoured adversarial battle that had been pop's modus operandi since the Beatles and the Stones in the 1960s. Meanwhile, he spilled the beans on his sex addiction. According to a report in the Sun newspaper, he admitted that he's hooked on sex and is out to sleep with as many women as possible. He confessed that he's a sexaholic, but was at pains to point out that he's far from being a sex freak. He even stated that his roving eye had assumed such serious proportions that it had wrecked all his long-term relationships. He elucidated, "I'm a man with strong needs. It's impossible for me to be in a relationship, at least while I'm still young. I'm a very physical type. I'm very hands-on, He also swore to seek therapy to cure his lusty urges in order to curb infidelity when he meets the right girl. The confession arrived in the fallout from his split with Chili and the allegations about him constantly bombarding the British singer Jamelia with flirty, suggestive text messages. Although he has sex on the brain from the minute he wakes up in the morning to the moment he goes to bed, ideally with a new girl in tow, he does not believe in kinky sex. On Wednesday, March the 31st, Usher appeared on Late Night with Conan O'Brien on NBC and then cropped up on Last Call with Carson Daly on Thursday, April the 1st. He announced the beginning of a high-profile new tour through the summer of 2004 entitled The Truth Tour, which included Britain. His last visit to Britain in 2002 saw him wearing sequined combat gear in a show which also featured firecrackers, pole dancers and cascading rose petals. Something as grand was expected this time around. Meanwhile, the hottest diva of 2004, Beyoncé, proclaimed Usher to be the modern equivalent of Fred Astaire. With 35 million records sold worldwide, legions of adoring fans, #1 albums and singles, and the respect of everyone in the industry, Usher was operating in a new stratosphere of fame. He was the leader of the pack, a creative dynamo who lesser peers looked up to for their next move.
Sucker for love. I love to be in love. I kind of went through a period of my life where I didn't really want to be alone. I didn't know how to be by myself. But now I'm cool. Now I don't mind. I got a lot going on. I want to have friends. I want to date. I want to see what life has to offer, have friends, figure out exactly what I want, and figure out if I can be the best to someone or for someone. Figure out if what I am is what someone truly wants, not just readjust myself and yield to someone else. Obviously you got to make sacrifices in a relationship, but you got to be comfortable too.
We think we know Usher Raymond from the words in his songs and the high-profile interviews and incidents of recent memory. But what of the real interior life of this most celebrated of modern pop icons? What is it that drives him on? Well, we know that he has issues, most of them appertaining to sex and women. His unhealthy obsession with sex has been well documented. He freely admits that his peccadillos have often got the better of him, but there are signs of self-knowledge, contrition, and a desire for redemption. He knows he's been bad, but is looking to improve himself. Central to an understanding of his character is an acknowledgement of the man's burning ambition. He sweats and oozes it, desperately craving to be the biggest and best pop star on the planet. Yet he knows he wants to achieve this in the right manner, not just for the sake of it. Merely sitting on top of Planet Pop isn't enough for him. He needs to be there on his own terms and without diluting his message. He can conquer the world without compromising or paying too much attention to the wishes of the marketing men or the corporate suits. In fact, away from the media image, there is a sensitive, intelligent soul. Underneath the pressure of the limelight, Usher feels it's very important to portray a positive image to American youth. He's become involved in several community activities, including serving as the national spokesperson for the US Department of Transportation's Get Big on Safety campaign. He participated in the NBA Stay in School program and performed at several of the franchise's jamborees, entertaining students while showing them the importance of education. He also appeared on NBC's Inside Stuff. Usher's level-headed nature is strongly informed by solid family values and a good old-fashioned church upbringing. His mother has been a pivotal influence on his character, instilling him with a sense of decency and morality. She's even become his manager and mentor. He has a strong respect for the tradition of his chosen art form and always attempts to put his work into some socio-historical context. He rightfully praises the 60s and 70s icons who broke new ground for black artists and paved the way for him and his peers. He sees it as his duty to educate his young audience about what R&B really is and where it comes from. He has a reputation for getting involved in altercations, whether it be the Timberlake episode, the pregnancy saga, or the time when he was alleged to have brawled with Bobby Brown at his party in Atlanta a couple of years back. But Usher is at pains to emphasise his peace-loving ways. For him, there is no point in pursuing notoriety for the sake of it. He wants to be remembered for his great music, not his backstage antics.
First and foremost, I was shocked because I could not believe that Janet would show her on a show like that. That's a family show. I mean, it was a hot move, no doubt about it. Be it MTV, be it, VH1, be it BET, whatever it might be. It was a hot look, but it just was the wrong timing,
Usher's sound is individual, singular and fresh, but this most inventive of artists didn't appear out of nowhere, fully formed. His sweat-soaked grooves are steeped in a black musical tradition that stretches back years, right back to the lascivious whisperings of Marvin Gaye or the lachrymose balladeering of Otis Redding. To be fair, Usher makes no secret of this and always pays respect to his influences and inspirations, wearing them on his sleeve. Among his chief early influences were the likes of the Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye, artists who broke ground musically and culturally. His mother's collection turned young Usher on to these pioneering records. As he grew into teenagehood, he was absorbing anything and everything that was R&B based, from George Clinton's Parliament and Funkadelic, Miami Sound Machine, Heatwave, and James Brown to Boyz II Men, Bobby Brown and Prince. He's most concerned that the roots of his music are being eroded by today's obsession with hip-hop, and knows that kids have to understand the spirit of soul and where it comes from. This is why on every Usher record, you can hear the ghosts of Marvin, Stevie and Michael Jackson hovering over every groove. He is aware that the essence of R&B is real experience. It is based on feeling groove and rhythm and a combination of them coming together to create some indefinable magic. He aims to do what Sam Cooke, Otis, Aretha, Bobby Womack and James Brown did on their great records. Take the listener to a vulnerable place where the singer is almost crying the words. Sincerity and clarity of emotion are paramount. Of his peers and rivals on the scene, Usher rates R. Kelly, Beyoncé and Robin Thicke. He knows they understand the fundamental nature of real soul music, but express it in new contexts. He admires and respects those artists who provide a bridge between the old and the new, the classic and the contemporary, which is what he aims to do. Another influence upon his artistic development has been dance, in particular the moves of Fred Astaire, James Brown, Gene Kelly and Michael Jackson. He has studied dance and sees it as important to his music as his songs. In fact, he's expressed his desire to get into choreography as a serious career. So where does he stand in the pantheon of soul and R&B? He clearly resides in the territory between Bobby Brown, R. Kelly, Boyz II Men and the classic artists of the vintage soul era, your Otis, James Brown, Marvin, Stevie and Jacksons. His output to date has updated the bedroom soul sound for a new generation and pioneered a fresh form of black music. He's here to stay and will continue innovating for years and years.
A lot of men cannot be truthful. You know, as a matter of fact, a lot of women can't handle the truth. This album was my opportunity to express myself in music, understanding the true essence of it. I've gathered it from a few different places: Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder. And as you listen to those records, you hear truth, whether it was political or whether it was about love, whether it was about sex, whether it was about, breakup, all of those feelings and emotions that you go through. So I gathered a sense of what music was to me, and I did that with this album.
Usher is an explosive, incendiary talent, a true maverick who plays by his own rules and creates new benchmarks on a sickeningly regular basis. He is versatile, self-aware, astute, unorthodox and restless in his creativity. There is really nowhere he can't take this music. He refuses to become complacent, safe, homespun, confined by the expectations of his audience or record label. He knows that if his music is to survive and grow and not settle into the stale and irrelevant, then he has to keep making a break with his past, reinventing his sound and continue searching. He's achieved a kind of artistic vandalism over the course of his career, effectively tearing up the rulebook and taking his music to newer and more exciting places with each release. Sometimes his music sounds like the earthiest, most vibrant booty. At others, it can sound achingly pretty with crystalline atmospheres, yearning vocals, and a glorious musicality that sounds like a choir of angels atop 5 glass mountains on fire. The listener soon becomes infatuated with it all. These songs provide succor to the lost, the dismayed, the confused, the downhearted, the alienated. If you require harsh proof of beauty in the world, look no further. These are indeed future classics. This music arrives like an unexpected warmth, a curious lifting of spirits. It has an untrammeled dramatic reach, a poetic yearning for truth, a lyricism and a poignancy that engulfs the listener. The scope and ambition dwarf the music of his contemporaries. You can really fool yourself that there is an angel at your shoulder. He seems to be singing for your benefit alone. You feel like someone who has, out of nowhere, been presented with an armful of gilded lilies. Usher's songs, for all their ambivalence and often non-PC sentiments, are essentially a celebration, an affirmation that existence, for all that it is bitter, hard, bewildering, and calls for the use of any available anesthesia, is still a wonderful thing. Every time you hear these tracks, you will take them for the consolation they are. You will go into a gently nodding trance and smile like a man contented. You will recall with every hearing why you fell in love with soul in the first place. This amazing singer, songwriter, producer, director and choreographer has the future in his grasp. He can put his hand to anything and can become anything he wants to be. Gifted, determined, irrepressible and single-minded, Usher transcends the pigeonhole of R&B or soul because he delivers popular art from the pit of his being. Edgy, sexy, cerebral, daring, vital and swaggering, Usher's music is a 21st century joy, brash, colourful and urgent. He is destined to become one of popular music's greatest voices, a talent to rival the likes of the soul legends of yesteryear. He's impeccably tasteful, open to a wealth of outside influences, deliciously literate, sensual and dignified. Every second of his music is alive, exposed, quivering, aware that anything could happen at any instant. It luxuriates in beauty and possibility, indomitable spirit, vision, wit and poetry. A protest against mediocrity. Usher is a special, rare talent in an industry overloaded with fakes.
Thank you for playing Maximum Usher. We hope you enjoyed it. Watch out for further titles on Chrome Dreams coming up soon. If you did enjoy or have any comments or suggestions, write to us at Chrome Dreams, PO Box 230, New Malden, Surrey, UK, KT36YY, or email on mail@chromedreams.co.uk. Details of our full catalogue are listed on our website at www.chromedreams.co.uk. Thanks again for listening, and goodbye for now.